Today, we're going to dive into the final, really turbulent years of the ancient kingdom of Judah. It's a fascinating story about this one brilliant flash of hope that gets tragically snuffed out. It was a last chance that just slipped right through their fingers. But before we really get into the nitty-gritty of the history, this whole story hangs on one central question. What happens when a whole society just forgets who it is? I mean, when the very documents that define you are not just culturally forgotten, but physically lost. That's the real dilemma we're looking at here. All right, so let's set the scene. We are in the Kingdom of Judah around the year 641 BC. And for the last 52 years, things have been bad. Under a seriously corrupt king named Manasseh, the nation has just been rotting from the inside out, both spiritually and physically. And the most powerful symbol of this decay? The temple. Now, this wasn't just some building. It was the nation's spiritual heartbeat, and it was literally falling apart. I mean, it was filled with pagan idols and just crumbling away after decades of total neglect. But you gotta ask why? How does that happen? Well, it wasn't just laziness. It was a clash of philosophies. The pagan worldview that had taken over saw the physical world as, kind of an illusion, just a shadow. What mattered were rituals and magic, not your character or taking care of stuff. But the biblical worldview is the total opposite. This world is real. Who you are matters immensely, and taking care of creation is a core duty. That fundamental collision of ideas is exactly why the most important building in the nation was left to rot. But then, right into the middle of all this chaos, a new leader steps onto the stage. A young king with a totally different vision, who's about to launch this mission to try and restore the very soul of the nation. And here's the wild part. His name is Josiah, and he's only 8 years old when he takes the throne. Can you imagine? An 8-year-old kid is suddenly in charge of fixing this entire broken kingdom. And even though his own father and grandfather were incredibly corrupt, Josiah was completely different. The scriptures give him this really unusual absolute praise. It's not just saying he was a good king, it's saying he was all in. No divided loyalties, no compromises. He was through and through a person of integrity. So what's the first big move this new kid king makes? He orders a fundraising campaign to hire workers and start repairing that neglected temple. And here's what's so fascinating. He'd probably never even seen the nation's scriptures. They were lost. He was basically running on oral tradition, on the stories he'd been told about how things were supposed to be. And this right here, this shows you the culture shift that's starting to happen. At a time when corruption was everywhere, these construction workers were so honest, their integrity was so solid that no one even had to count the money they were given. No spreadsheets, no audits. Their character was their currency. In this one project, who you are started to matter again. So it's during this pretty routine repair job, surrounded by dust and rubble, that these workers stumble onto something. A discovery that is about to change absolutely everything. Yep, tucked away, hidden in the ruins, they find a scroll. A book. It seems so simple, but this one little discovery had world-altering consequences. Because what they found wasn't just some dusty old manuscript. No, this was the centerpiece of their entire national identity, something they thought had been lost to history forever. It was the book of the Torah. I mean, think of it like their constitution, their Declaration of Independence, and their entire moral code all rolled into one. And for more than 50 years, it was just gone. An entire generation grew up having never even heard the words that were supposed to define them. So when this book is finally brought to King Josiah and read out loud, his reaction is just immediate and raw. He rips his own clothes apart, a sign of the deepest grief and shock, because he instantly understood the giant, massive gap between what that book said they should be and what they have actually become. This discovery sparks a massive nationwide reform. It's a moment of incredible hope and renewal, but just as things are starting to turn around, the whole world around them begins to violently shift, and it threatens to tear everything down. Okay, so here's the geopolitical whirlwind. The regional superpower, the Assyrian Empire, suddenly starts to fall apart. This creates a huge power vacuum. Egypt sees an opportunity and marches its army north, trying to prop up what's left of Assyria to use as a buffer against the next big threat, Babylon. For reasons we don't fully understand, King Josiah decides to intercept the Egyptian army at a strategic pass called Megiddo, and there, at just 39 years old, he's killed in battle. And just like that, it was over. The movement, the hope, the renewal, all of it died with him on that battlefield. the whole reform came to a sudden, crashing halt, leaving the nation totally vulnerable and without a leader. So what happens next is just a total mess. There's a power vacuum, and Josiah's sons get caught right in the middle of this huge struggle between Egypt and Babylon. The kingdom just descends into pure chaos. The throne basically becomes a revolving door. First, the people put one son, Jehoahaz, in charge. He lasts 3 months before the Egyptians haul him off in chains. Then they install his brother Jehoiakim as their puppet. Well, he eventually gets into trouble with the Babylonians, so they come in and put the third son, Zedekiah, on the throne. The point is, none of them had their father's integrity. They were just pawns in a much, much bigger game. The end result of all this, Judah completely lost its independence. It just became a battlefield, a puppet state whose fate was being decided hundreds of miles away in the capitals of Egypt and Babylon. That incredible moment of hope was completely lost, and it put the kingdom on a collision course with its final destruction. But the story doesn't really end there. It kind of leaves us hanging with a really important question, and it all centers back on that shocking moment of discovery back in the temple. Think about it for a second. The high priest is the one who finds the scroll, but the story doesn't record any big reaction from him. The scribe delivers it to the king and calls it a book, just another document. It was only Josiah who heard the words and was shaken to his very core. So why? Why was he the only one who really got it? It seems the answer is he was already prepared to listen. Even without the book, his actions showed he was already trying to live by the principles that were in it. His heart was already open. And that really leaves us with the final question, for them and for us. What does it take to have a heart that's truly ready to listen?